Hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. My name is Kirsten and this is episode number 77. Thank you so much for being here and tuning in today. And if you like this podcast, if you have been listening for a while, or maybe you find that, yes, I've been wanting to get an answer to this question and she just answered that question, or I'm learning something new and something really useful, the best thing you can do is to spread the word. So make sure that you tell about this podcast to your friends and family who might find it helpful too. And I would also really appreciate if you could leave me a 5-star rating and a review on iTunes, because that way more people can find it. And the more people can find it, the more people are healthy and fit and strong, because we don't want us, especially women, to be, under-eating and overtraining and thinking that they have to be dieting all their life and feeling miserable. And this is what the podcast is trying to solve here. I want to make sure that we are feeling healthy and happy and well-fed and cognitively strong and spiritually healthy, and so that we can enjoy our lives. So make sure that you share this podcast with those people who you think could benefit from it, and also leave a 5-star rating and a review. The other thing I wanted to mention before I get started with today's topic is that I still have my free protein guide called Physique Formula in my bio on Instagram, in my YouTube description, and also in the show notes. And if you have been listening for a while, you know why protein is so important. I talk about it frequently. It really changed a lot of things for me, and of course has changed a lot for my clients. So I personally when I started paying attention to eating more protein, I got a lot stronger. I started sleeping better. My energy got so much better. I find myself snacking a lot less and keeping my blood sugar stable, which is really important for hormonal health. So it's really important that we get that protein number higher. And you're probably going to be surprised how much more protein you should actually be eating. So make sure that you get this guide. It really breaks it down for you. It tells you all the benefits and some of the things that you probably don't know yet, because it's not only about muscle gain, okay? It tells you about the benefits. It tells you exactly how much you should be getting based on your lifestyle, whether you are a meat eater or mostly plant-based. Then also there's a simple guide or a plan template that you can use to plan out your high protein day, and a couple of other interesting and important things there as well. So make sure you grab it. It's completely 100% free, nothing to lose there. Get that guide, learn from it, and let me know if you have any questions. But on to today's topic, and this is actually inspired by another coach whose name is Jason Phillips. And here's what it said: an online calculator can never substitute a nutrition coach, okay? An online calculator can never substitute a real nutrition coach. And this is 100% true. And it just, I started thinking about it more and more, and coming up with, thinking about all of these reasons why this is true, because you can never get the same results by using an online calculator, trying to do it on your own, versus working with somebody who guides you and helps you through this whole process, especially if you are new to it. And I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons why this is the case. So the first thing is that there are, of course, many online calculators online, and some of them are good and some of them are not so good. So for example, I've had a couple of people who told me that they used the Precision Nutrition one and they liked it, and it gave them reasonable numbers, right? It didn't give them ridiculously low calorie numbers that nobody could ever sustain. So it was good in that sense, but then there's also other calculators that are not so great. So for example, MyFitnessPal, I think it's a great tool and I do use it with my clients, but I always tell them that we use this to track our macros, but we're not using it to decide how many calories we should be eating. Because if you ever plugged in your goals and how quickly you want to get to those goals, you know that it will give you ridiculously low numbers to follow. It will likely tell you that you should be eating, 1,100 to 1,300 calories a day, which is ridiculous for most people. Okay, so don't follow that. Use it only as a tracking tool. This is how I do this with my clients. But for example, this tool, it tells you ridiculous numbers. So now if you start following it, it gives you totally wrong information, and you are definitely putting your metabolism at risk if you follow this information for a long time and try to eat accordingly. So this is one big downside. So there's so many different levels, different quality calculators, but even the good ones don't replace a good nutrition coach, good certified macro coach or nutrition coach who can help you through this process so much better. And here are here are a couple of reasons why this is the case. So first of all, an online calculator never asks great questions about your activity level. Okay, so what most online calculators ask are of course your weight and your height and your sex and your age, right? So they should be asking that, but then they don't ask your activity level. And if we don't know the activity level, then it's really hard to estimate what your deficit or surplus should look like. Deficit in case you want to lose weight, and surplus in case you want to gain some muscle. They may ask you questions: is your activity level medium or light or heavy? But how should a person know that? What is medium? What is light? What is heavy? They just don't know that. They're like, okay, I work out 4 days a week. I think it's pretty light. And another person might be like, I work out 4 days a week. That's a lot. That's probably heavy exercise, right? So a person does not know that. Versus when you work with somebody, when you work with a coach will ask you questions that they should be asking you questions. What kind of workouts are you doing? What are you doing these workouts? What do they look like? Are they heavy lifting? Are they boot camp? Are they running? What are you doing? How many days a week are you doing them? And then also, what does your needs look like? Your need is your non-exercise associated thermogenesis. So in other words, it's all the movement that you do in addition to your formal exercise. Getting up in the morning, walking around, walking to the store, taking care of the kids, taking the stairs, all of these things, cleaning the house, everything that also burns energy and keeps your body moving, but it's not exercise. So these two things are really, really important to know when calculating something that's known as your total daily energy expenditure, because we want to know how much you burn so we can create the right level of deficit or surplus for you. Okay, and then when I went through my coaching, I got my certification, we learned really, like in a really specific manner, like how to decide based on those numbers, what should the activity level, what is the right activity level? Like how do we kind of rate that? What is that right multiplier that we have to use in order to determine your total daily energy expenditure, again, so that we create the right deficit or the right surplus. But this is something that an online calculator just cannot do because it's a robot. It doesn't talk to you. It doesn't ask you all of these questions. The second thing that makes a difference when you work with a coach versus get numbers from an online calculator is that the calculator never asks you about your health conditions, right? So there are specific ways how different people with different health conditions should do their macros or should do their nutrition. For example, PCOS, right? Diabetes, adrenal fatigue, Hashimoto's, all these health conditions require certain things that we do when we put together a plan for somebody. So somebody with adrenal fatigue should be eating a little bit differently than somebody with another health condition. But an online calculator, a robot, does not ask these questions. But these things are important so that we make sure that you get enough nutrition and also that your training plan is correct for you. Another thing, and this is a big one, this is probably the most important thing that separates the online calculators from, or I would say nutrition coaches from online calculators, is asking questions about the past dieting. Okay, this is really, really, really important. I'm going to tell you why. So for example, if you tell the online calculator that your goal weight is X and right now you are this and you want to get there, then it will tell you certain numbers, okay? But what if you have been dieting already previously? What if you are actually under eating already a lot? So you are not eating like 3,000 calories so we can start cutting. Maybe you're eating 1,200. And this is really, really important information, because if you are already under eating, then you should start adding calories. Actually, you should be doing a reverse diet. So the calculator doesn't ask you these questions. Also, when was your most recent weight loss? How damaged your metabolism is? Maybe it's really damaged and maybe it's not a good time for you to go into a deficit, right? So these are the questions that a calculator doesn't ask you, because it doesn't talk to you, because it's not a human. But this is something that I go back and forth like so many times. Sometimes I feel like I'm bugging my potential new clients with all these questions, because I want to know. I need to know what they have been doing, how responsive their metabolism potentially is, and maybe we have to heal it and repair it instead of putting it into a deficit again. So your past dieting is really, really important. The information for your coach to know before putting together a plan for you. The next thing that a online calculator cannot do is offer you adjustments. And adjustments are really important because your body is changing as you're going through this program, and then also your macros need to be changed. So all my coaching programs are a minimum of 3 months, and then during that time I would say people need maybe three to six or so adjustments, but an online calculator does not do that, right? It just gives you a set of numbers. Take these and run with these, okay? And then you're gonna follow them, but at one point they stop working, right? Maybe you have to add calories. Maybe you have to take some calories down. Maybe you have to increase your protein. Maybe you have to do something else, right? So macro adjustments are important as your body is changing, as your metabolism is changing. So that's why talking to a coach, going back and forth, is really important and is really critical for your success. And also the other thing is carb cycling. So this is also something that online calculators, they just don't do. And honestly, a lot of coaches don't do that either, but a good coach will do it with you. If your goal is to lose weight and lose body fat, there has to be carb cycling involved in this process, because carb cycling is a way how we keep our metabolism responsive and really, really healthy, because there are days when we take you out of that deficit by boosting your carbohydrates and therefore also boosting your calories a couple of days a week. It has to be really done really strategically. It can't be just like, oh, I ate 2 tablespoons more rice on a random day. This is not what it looks like. It has to be way more strategic for your metabolism to thrive. And this is something that I actually see a lot of people have not done, and this is why they're hitting a wall quickly. Their body stop responding, or they get really fatigued and really tired and feeling kind of off all the time, because there haven't been any carb cycling in their diet. And a lot of coaches don't do that, but many do. And an online calculator definitely doesn't do any carb cycling with you. And then the last point today that I want to make is accountability. Okay. So a coach offers you accountability. This is why you get on a call with your coach all the time. Maybe it's weekly, maybe it's bi-weekly, it depends, but you are not talking to an online calculator. It just does not offer that, right? And accountability is so, so important, because how many times have you started a plan, but then felt like, it's not going to go that well, or I don't feel like doing it today, or I'm going to take a day off and I'll get back to it one day. Right? I'm pretty sure that many of us have done this before, but if you have a coach, you are talking to somebody, you know that, okay, every week or every other week, I'm going to talk to her, what I'm going to tell her, then that's going to keep people accountable. A lot of people need that external something, right? And I personally do that too. I don't have a macro coach, right? But I do have a business coach. And I talk to her every single month, once a month, we get on a call, and I'm going to tell her what I have been doing or not doing, right? Most of the time, what I have been doing in order to take my business forward, because I pay her money. I have invested in my business development. I am showing up, right? Versus if you don't have accountability, a lot of times you're just not going to do it, because a lot of times we can't keep ourselves accountable to something. So these support goals are really, really really, really important. And to me, like, they're also important because I can ask questions. I can know like what else is going on. We're not only talking about macros. Like, my approach is more like holistic. Okay, how are your hormones doing? How are your periods? Are they still healthy? Are they still happening? How is your sleep? So these are all important parts of your overall health. So to me, like, macronutrition or any nutrition approach is never only about weight loss or fat loss. It's about improving your health at the same time. You should feel better as you're doing it. And of course, there are so many different coaches. I'm not saying that every coach is like perfect and you should work with, as long as you work with a coach, it's always a good choice. No, I mean, there are different people and also different personalities, right? So you probably feel like some people kind of fits better with, what you are doing or what you're trying to do. It's just like her personality, his or her personality works better. So let me give you an example. There are a lot of coaches who are very much like, okay, no pain, no gain, no excuses. You got to do this. You cannot like miss your targets at all. You have to be like super on point every single day to a T. And if that works for you, if this is the type of accountability you need to be successful, that's great. Then you're just gonna find that person and work with that person. I just know that I am a little bit different. I'm probably a little bit like softer. I ask a lot of questions. If if something's not feeling right, like let's say that you have like digestive issues, or you had like bad period cramps or whatever, I'm not telling you no pain, no gain. You have to hit your macros no matter what. I am trying to look at everything more holistically and see what might be going on, and where we may do some make some improvements. And the macros, yeah, they do matter. They are kind of like the center of everything, because your goal is to lose fat or to put on muscle, but it can come at the expense of like other areas of your life. So your lifestyle has to be working for you. So these are my thoughts today. Something to think about. I mean, if you want to try and just check out what kind of numbers an online calculator might give you. Try try a couple of different ones, and you see they give you different numbers. It's gonna be surprising. What am I going to follow then? And that's because those calculators don't ask you enough questions. They don't have enough detailed information about you to give the right recommendations for you. So these are my thoughts for you today. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Thank you again for listening, and make sure that you grab my protein guide. It's still in my bio, it's still in my show notes, it's still in the YouTube description too. So make sure you get it and start going through it. And if you have any questions about it, just let me know. I'm super happy to answer. Thank you so much for being here. See you next time.